What's up, everyone? Welcome to Frogman Friday. I'm Ryan Birdman Parrott. Today, our badass guest is Jon Iadonisi. He served 8 years as a Navy SEAL, exiting service as a lieutenant. He founded Viz Sense in 2015, located in Dallas, Texas. You can follow Jon on social media, handles to follow the show. To learn more about Viz Sense, go check out VizSense.com. Brother, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, man. Super pumped to be here.
I'm super stoked. I'll tell you what, I try to tie things together every which way I can. So Jon and I served same time, didn't serve in the same platoon.
But you were across the hall at 7, I think, right?
That's right.
I was 242. What were you, 245 or 7 or something?
245 and 246.
Okay.
Yeah. I just wanted more time there. So, naturally. But you're one of my favorite people, dude. We've had so many online and offline conversations about business, life, God, everything. And you are one of my favorite people.
Thank you for saying that. That's really touching for me.
It's true.
It Appreciate it.
And I'm nervous about doing this interview with you because when you do an interview with somebody that's far more intelligent than you, it's like, what questions should I ask? As opposed to like, just give me the standard, give me the general. So Let's kick it off. You have had a career. What most people won't know is that Jon has done so many different things besides being a Navy SEAL, and I'll let him touch if he wants to on that. But then you created this company and founded this company called Viz Sense. So tell us how that journey became to you becoming a businessman and what you do.
Yeah, I have to go way back on that one. When I was about 5 years old, my mom caught me in the basement putting toys into my vise, and I was crunching the toys. And she was really concerned, and her and my dad talked, and they're like, we got to get little Johnny to a psychiatrist because he's smashing his toys and this could mean really bad things. And what they didn't know and soon found out was I was really interested in trying to find out how the toys worked. And the fastest way to do that is to bust them open. Then we can see the gears and the transistors. And that led to a life of building stuff and problem solving. And that's one of the things that I enjoy the most. And so it was 2005. I had been shot on an op in Mosul, and I was in a hospital bed, and I was thinking to myself, how did I end up here? Like, this is a new problem to solve. Can we be fighting these guys differently? And all the traditional mindset and the traditional scholarship through Naval Academy and through, is, these bad guys operate in a hierarchical structure. You have a general, which is like the Bin Laden level, and they talk to their lieutenants who talk to their, sergeants in the field, and then they decide to lay roadside bombs. What we soon found out was absolutely that was not the case. This was more of a flat hierarchy, ideological alignment going from the credible voice or from the celebrity terrorist down to the local levels, but it was largely a local run action guided by a global ideology. And so several years later, I had started and sold a couple of other companies that dealt with cyber, and I had this idea, which was, okay, are consumers like terrorists? Do we take our cues on what to buy based on people more like us, or do we actually listen to the celebrities, the Kim Kardashians, Kylie Jenners, etc.? Because what we had learned in the military and the intelligence community aspect is that's not how it operates, but does it apply in consumer? And so went back to school a couple of times, did a lot of research on that, finished a Ph.D., which really examined that phenomenon. And sure enough, the fact of the matter is whether or not you're a terrorist or somebody shopping for shampoo, you're likely affected by the people that are more like you. And so the journey began in 2015. We built a company that really looked at micro influencers. These are people that do not have celebrity status. They don't have millions of followers. They often, when we contact these people, the best thing about the story is, wait, I actually, people follow me? Like, you have no idea. You are very powerful. When it comes to keto or rock climbing, or you name the different industry, we identify and find these people. And the company's built around this micro influencer, or we always say, is that the loudest voice are those you often don't hear. And in many ways, the whispers are what drive behavioral change. It's not the megaphone. So we try to get millions of whispers going at the same time. That's what we do. And that's the idea that came from our time and the stuff that you and I used to do.
Wow. amazing to be able to pull. I mean, that's one thing that we were just talking about before we got on, is that, well, there's a lot of struggle with military getting out because they're trained to live and work at an elite level, special operations, a very, very elite level. And then you get out, and it's not that you have a hard time figuring it out. It's a hard time trying to figure out how to get back to an elite level. And it's something that we yearn for, right? So you being able to use your skill sets in the military and transition those into a civilian marketplace is absolutely incredible.
I've seen you do the same thing though, right? I mean, it's not so much, I think it's more discovering the skill sets that you have that may not have been utilized in the military, instead of taking sets you already have and go from normal to elite. I think it's discovery and rediscovery. Did you ever think you would run a global burn victim nonprofit that saves people's lives around the world?
No.
Okay. Did you ever think that you'd be a mainstay when it comes to stun activities and doing things most people wouldn't do?
No.
I prayed. So you discovered, you prayed, but you also discovered, and you took the chance to reinvent yourself. And I think a lot of people say, well, I was an officer in the SEAL teams, or I was a sniper in the SEAL team, so I need to go be a gun instructor. You could be, that's great. You'd probably be awesome at it. Or you can venture off somewhere else and re-explore again. Or you can combine both of them. And in many ways, you and I have done that. You've done a nonprofit as well as some other, activities around the advertising space. And I've done a couple different companies that celebrate a couple different experiences and perspectives that I've had. So it's really fun. And to everybody out there that's getting out, what else is possible is my question to them. That's what I ask. What else is possible?
It's brilliant. It's true. That's so brilliant. All right. Walk us through VizSense then. You told us high level what you're doing, what you can't tell us, because I know you're a covert, top secret,
yeah, no, not
G14.
Not anymore. GLG20, like on Spies Like Us, my favorite movie.
All right, James Bond, rein us in here.
I got in trouble for that, actually, when I was at the agency, calling people that name, but it didn't go over well. So what we normally do is the center of everything is data here. So when somebody says, what do you do? It's not like, well, strap on, I'm going to give you a 5-minute diatribe. It's real simple. I'll use an example so you understand. A brand came to us and they had lipstick that they were trying to sell. And being the lipstick expert, like most SEALs are, we had an immediate fit. No, we turned to data and we said, well, who do you think your audience is? And they said, well, this is for Caucasian females, ages 22 to 25. And that's what the brand was built for. And I said, okay, what does a crowd say about the brand? He said, what do you mean? I said, what if I randomly grab millions of bits of data? And they said, we've never done that. So we mined millions of bits of data. We controlled for stuff around lipstick, and then we controlled for this particular brand of lipstick. And we found out 3 pretty amazing things. Number one, the matte color of the lipstick was like very popular. Everybody wanted it. Number two, it didn't cake on the side of the lips, which I guess is a big deal. And the third thing we found was that 57% of the conversation was in Spanish. So it really unlocked who really the audience is and how to grow into that audience. We've had so many stories of that. Number 2 story, we went with did a prominent coconut water drink, and did a bunch of research, and the research showed most people like this drink because of where the coconuts are sourced from. It said nothing like that on the package. Apparently Brazilian coconuts taste differently than Thailand coconuts. Okay. Number 2, everybody thought that the box, it was in a cardboard box instead of plastic. So it was very eco-friendly. And they thought that a lot of people love that. What the data showed was it kept breaking in people's gym bag. So we like to uncover all this data. And then once we have that data, we then know who to hire. So in the lipstick case, we sought out English, Spanish speaking micro-influencers, and we told them to talk about the matte color as well as the properties. In the coconut example, we talked about people that know about sourcing, particularly coconuts. We talked to mixologists, and we also talked to eco influencers around the impact of the packaging on the environment. So the data shows us, just like we in the military, Ryan, right? The data tells us which direction to go. and who to actually engage with as part of this process. And we hire these folks, and then we measure and manage them. And then at the end of the day, everybody's usually happy. And that's a really big deal. So that's what's been really fun about the project is I have an amazing team. Everybody's much smarter than me and younger than me. And that's great organization to be part of. And I learn something new every day. So it's been really awesome.
Well, let me get, okay, so you just said everybody's smarter than you. Well, that makes me completely beneath the bell curve there. So simplistic terms. So a company would come to you and say, hey, we're trying to do this or release this product or whatever it may be, and we're not sure. And so we want to target. And so they would hire you, you guys mine the data to figure out where the best place to actually work with micro influencers around the globe.
What genre? Correct.
Genre. Okay. And then do you hire the person for that company?
Yes.
Okay. So, wow, that's an all-inclusive package.
It's a full turnkey package because we found a couple things out early on. Number one, we'll run 20 to 40 micros per campaign, and that could cover anywhere from 50 to 200 pieces of content. It's a lot of back and forth. So we built an entire technology that allows all that to be done via people's phones. I mean, the whole transaction, the hiring, everything is done on the platform now. And so we've found that people would rather engage in that type of environment to do these campaigns. You have to do that. The second reason we do turnkey is it's just so much to manage at one of these campaigns. You really have to steer all of these folks along the same lines. And it's things like if I have a Starbucks coffee cup and behind me, like that content has to come down. Like there's a lot that goes into this, and most companies would rather say, we're going to give it to the experts, you guys. We'll just sit back and make sure you hit all of our goals. So that's really what people turn to us for. It's been amazing. We are in some of the biggest companies in the world doing like crazy stuff I'm learning about. Like we did a peanut butter whiskey project, and you know, who we ended up hiring was mixologists because we found out that people were using this in their milkshakes. So we did a whole thing on dessert beverages and things you would never thought, but the data does tell you a lot, especially when it's not like a focus group, you know, these focus groups where you can hire and, hey, come in and talk to us about this beauty product. Well, it's the same group last week that did car batteries, and it's the same group the week before that did, you know, places to ski with families. So it's like, that's one approach. We would rather take a randomized sample about people that are actually having those conversations and pull that data. We integrate with IBM Watson. I chose Watson because we did a lot of, it's called neuro-linguistic programming, but really trying to understand how the computer looks at those comments and makes assertions. Is this positive or negative? Watson is actually used to also discover undiscovered cancer treatments using macro data sets. So if they can do that, they can probably figure out whether or not the lipstick is popular because of this matte color. So that's the type of integration that we do. And I really think this is paving the way for future companies where you're going to have things like predictive shelving. I'll give you an example. Right now, I know where the lipstick sells, what time of year. So I could probably pre-stage pallets of trucks in certain areas. I mean, there's a lot of predictive data that comes. Secondly, people are talking about products that don't exist yet, right? Like, hey, I would really like to have a, you know, spray tan that has sunscreen baked in. They don't have that yet. I'll ask my team. No, they don't have that. Oh, that'd be cool to build that. So I think that this data, we're getting a lot of tech incubators coming to us, brand incubators saying, man, what if we just started building these micro brands based on the data that you guys discover? And that's a whole nother realm. So what I call prescriptive product development based on real data, predictive shelving. You know, you really get into these altruistic ideas down the road, but it's actually possible now. And I like to challenge the big dogs on making that happen. We have a lot of people out there that do around the fringes of what we do, but we haven't found anybody that has the entire complete package. And we're regularly told that we come up on top when we go against head to head. So it's a competitive environment, that's for sure. And it is a definitely different environment for me with my background, but that's what's made it an adventure.
Wow. So in doing this, obviously companies are coming to you. Is there a specific demographic of company that you look for? Is it small, medium, large? Is there a certain genre?
I'd say medium to large for the most part, because there's a lot of time, therefore cost in doing the research that we do. And we have we have PhDs at the company that are looking at this data. You know, that takes a long time. So I'd say medium to large. I'd say consumer products, either new launch or pulse points, like throughout the year. Maybe there's a back to school event, or maybe there's a typically October, November, December are big in the alcohol season. So they want to have some event, or St. Patrick's Day, or Cinco de Mayo, or Gay Pride Month, or you name the event, there's some sort of activation. So we'll usually fit into those throughout the year with particular brands. But I'd say consumer package is a strong suit. Beauty, fashion, wellness is a huge one. We're in that. Beverage alcohol, health. I mean, we are in a lot of different categories. And I would say like financial services, maybe not. We have done some game downloads, which have been really cool. Looking at that, and there's a lot here, and there's a lot more to explore for sure.
That's pretty cool. So where do you want to take it? You got some 10-year plans that you want to share?
Yeah, I think right now we're looking for ideal partners in blind spots where we don't have. We get asked a lot of stuff like, can you also do our paid social? We don't do that. Can you also do our TV ads? We don't do that. So we want to be somebody else's SEAL team. So there's somebody else out there that has a conventional size company, right? Big neighbor. We want to plug into them. And I think that is our team is specialists, and we stay in our lane, and being part of a larger piece would be huge. I also think there's other areas to take this. I also do some blockchain development on the side as a hobby. I built some Patriot supporting NFTs as well, which I think are cool. And I think the entire crypto space has a lot of undiscovered land. And I think that is like AOL in 95 right now. But conceptually trying to understand it is the challenge, and getting people to wrap their head around what does this actually mean. But I think we're every day, every second, we're getting closer on that. And I think there's some definite tie-ins to that into this industry for sure.
Wow, this is fascinating.
I mean, you see it, man. Like, we did an analysis on all your stuff. You have an amazing group of people. You have, I can say tribes, but a lot of Birdman supporters across different ecosystems. Like the burn stuff is amazing. Then you have your service. Then you have the stunt stuff. So you have multiple ecosystems that want to learn more about you and serve you. And, you know, it's awesome to see you going out and going after it. I'm glad you started these podcasts too, because you have to tell your story.
Yeah, well, this one's not for me, brother. This one is purely like, yeah, well, I mean, just to backdrop on that, you know, I got to Dallas before most guys. So everybody got to meet me already. And now they're like, okay, cool. That's Ryan. We know him. Yeah, no big deal. Who you got for me today? I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So I'm the old guy now, even though I look like I'm 12.
I know, that's not a bad thing. I feel that way too. It's amazing watching the talent. I mean, you were talking about your two boys, like you see it with them, how fast they can learn. And I think the future is going to favor those that can learn, unlearn, and relearn the best. And I think that is something that we have to teach people now. I don't think it's about teaching people, what to do. I think it's about teaching people how to think, how to assess, how to take an interdisciplinary approach. I mean, most of all of my schooling has been interdisciplinary. I've gone from tech to quasi-tech to social science and blended them all together, and now I'm back doing crypto, which is all coding in Python and JavaScript, so it's like, but I do think that the more experiences and exposure we can give people, all the problems being solved now, when you look at even the RNA stuff with the pharmaceuticals, a lot of this is because it's an interdisciplinary person that's saying, hey, I'm not from this field, but have you considered doing that? And you're like, I never thought that, but you're so programmed to only think linearly. When you think laterally, options open up. You saw it with, if you've been to the Sistine Chapel, you saw it with, Da Vinci and Michelangelo. You saw these guys, they trained alongside sculptors. They trained alongside other artists. They trained alongside doctors and people that did, or other types of doctors that did research. And why? Because that's how you end up with al fresco. You end up with blends when you stand around people that are like that. So I stand around you because you're a super amazing person, and I always learn something from you. And we need more people standing around like people, or I should say diverse people, but a good in character. I think that's a big deal.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, brother. In fact, in the 16th chapel, when they told us when we were walking through, you know, obviously no cameras. And what is the first thing that flips into my mind is I'm gonna use a camera.
You probably did what I did, looked around.
That's exactly, just tilt it up like you're taking a
Yeah,
selfie. My nose hairs are in it too. It's great.
yeah.
So, well, I'll tell you what, man, I appreciate you being on. We're gonna shift gears for a second, and then we'll come back full circle. You know, I do this for everybody who's on. So you served, and service comes with, you know, at a cost. And so why don't you share with us a quick story about a brother of yours that was your hero while you're with your time in?
Man, I got so many to talk about. I would say my chief, Spencer Calvin. He's still in. He was just a phenomenal person to be around under fire. He had, you know, we were in a lot of situations. I was with him when he got a Silver Star, and being in some crazy situations that and sometimes you're concerned, you're scared, you have to be in charge, and he had a calming presence about what to do and to carry on. And also watching him react when things didn't go the right way. I think that's a big deal. So I'm blessed to have him as a friend. I still stay in touch with him. And I think that that's an amazing type of person to aspire to. I also have a lot of admiration for a lot of the dependents that I didn't meet, and a lot of the spouses, because I was single at my time in. And I remember distinctly getting on the C-17 and watching all the strollers and all the wives saying goodbye. And that's really tough. And I just can't imagine, you know, all their support that they had to stay at home, batten down the hatches while all their loved ones went off to war. And I think that those people also, you know, other people that we should consider as heroes, not just the guys that we shot and bled with.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you sharing that, brother.
Cool.
Yeah, keep telling these stories, my man. Yeah, man. Well, there you have it, folks. Jon Iadonisi, Viz Sense. Go check out VizSense.com. Super stoked to have you on the show, and I can't wait to see you next,
Thanks so much.
Man.
Can't wait to see you crush it. Keep going, brother.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate you.